I'd like to welcome everyone to our monthly meeting of the El Paso Community College Board of Trustees. Anyone that wishes to follow this on the internet can go to https://www.youtube.com/user/go-EPCC. Dr. Smith, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Double check the appropriate red side periods and comma.
We're going to go out of order a little bit because we have a special guest from the Valley, Judge Lujan, and I'm sure he wants to get on with his life. So he's here to do a special thing for Ms. Nahara, who was just recently elected to her position again for another 6 years. So, and Mr. Uxer, I guess you're number one, so we'll do you. I'll swear you in first. But if you don't mind, can we let Ms. Nahara go first since Judge Lujan's already got his robe on?
I'd be glad to let you do her first.
Right. Come on up, Judge. Over here at the podium.
Would you like me to read the item into the?
You want me to read the item? Go ahead, Pam.
Can we do a roll call first?
I'm sorry?
Can we do a roll call first? So we
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You want a roll call first? Oh, okay.
Mr. Uxer.
Call the roll.
Mr. Uxer.
I and would note that legal is being picky.
Mrs. Robles.
Here.
Dr. Graham.
Here.
Ms. Nahara.
Here.
Mr. Haggerty.
Here.
Okay.
Anything else, Counselor?
That's it.
We're good to go? All right. Go ahead, Ms. Nahara.
Thank you for keeping us on track.
Item 1.9, Board of Trustee business. Item 1.9.1, the Board of Trustees will conduct the official swearing in and administering of the oath of office to the newly elected members of the Board of Trustees in Districts 1 and 7.
We're ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thank you for the honor and the privilege, the second time, right?
Yes, sir.
Another 6 years. Well, congratulations, good luck to you, okay? God bless you. So here we go. If you can raise your right hand, please repeat after me. I, your full name,
I, Bonnie Soria Nájera,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of El Paso Community College,
of El Paso Community College,
District Trustee, District 7
District Trustee number 7
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and defend the Constitution
and defend the
and
Constitution
the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United
and
States
of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay, let me sign it, and that way you can take it back.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations. Good luck, eh? God bless
Thank you so much.
All right.
You want to say a few words?
Well, thank you all very much. It's been a privilege to be on the board for the last 6 years, and even a better and bigger privilege to not get an opponent this year. It was wonderful. I'd really like to thank the community, the staff, everybody at the district, the students especially, because without them, we would be nothing. It's been a pleasure to be on the board with such wonderful board members, and of course, with our fearless leader, Dr. Serrata. And my predecessor right now, and I'd like to, for her to know that she's in our thoughts, she is watching this online. Gracie Quintanilla is in the hospital right now. She's not doing too well, but we all wish her well. And without her as well, I wouldn't be here because she really encouraged me to be here and serve my community. So again, thank you all very much, and I look forward to another 6 years.
raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John L. Moxer Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the El Paso Community College District Trustee, District 1,
of the, well, try again.
El Paso.
El Paso,
County Community
I will
College
dutifully execute the office of El Paso Community College District 1
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Say a few words.
I came into, I was fortunate that I filled in the first year and a half on the board as a replacement for a trustee that left. I was elected to this office and returned. I knew nothing of El Paso Community College, worked in industry and everything else, and so, you know, I've come to appreciate that. But what I really have come to appreciate is the financial leadership we have, the administrative leadership we have, the curriculum instruction leadership we have, and, oh yeah, your research, the research leadership, and the administrative leadership we have, and the ability that we all have up there to get along, to agree, or to agree to disagree. Because what happened is that I will tell you this, just as an observation, I've had the dubious honor of going to the hospital, actually taking my wife to the hospital a couple of times over the past couple of years. And so I always make a note of looking at their deal and saying, where'd you graduate? Where'd you get your training? And I got at EPCC. And so you check around, and do we have any people that are totally committed to UTEP? Good, because what I hear from them is that we really like the EPCC people because they handle it so much easier and they don't have to have as much guidance as people from some of the other schools, okay? They provide quality instruction. They provide good stuff here. You guys are going to benefit from it, and it's great, and you'll find out. But you won't stop going to school. You're going to go to school some more after this. But I learned to appreciate the people, and I don't want to forget the deans, Pertvich, and I've just butchered his name there, but you can hold your hand up. And what's her face back there, Dean Hajar. I can pick on her because we went through the doctoral program that she completed, and she's Dr. Hajar, and I didn't, so I'm not. But I will say this, I really appreciate what comes out of this school by virtue of the leadership, because I've been out in the community, and I have yet to have anybody say, you know, EPCC, they didn't quite cut it, or they're not good, or I wish I'd have gone somewhere. I have yet to meet somebody that says, hey, it was good, I like the instructors and everything else, and that's a function not only of what we have here, but it's a function of how the quality and class of people that come out of the high school and the quality and class of the leadership we have. We just sort of sit up here and we get to see the overview and we get to approve the budget and that kind of thing. But the parents and the kids are the ones that do the work, and they go out and they make the name that these people provide for us. I didn't want to forget IT, but you're okay.
Congratulations to you both, and we're looking for great things for the next 6 years from both of you.
Don't hold your breath.
All right, Pam, 1.4.
All right. Item 1.4, approval of minutes, none. Item 1.5, welcome to guests and staff members.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our monthly meeting and to the staff. And 1.6, Pam?
Item 1.6, open forum.
Okay, we have one person that has signed in. I'm going to have to apologize. I got Dr. Angie. I don't want to butcher the last name. Morgan Thornton. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sarata, Board of Trustees, Cabinet members, esteemed colleagues, students, and community members. I am Dr. Angie Morgan Thornton, adjunct faculty, foundress, and director of the EPCC Mariachi Los Tejanos. In the April 23rd board meeting, I spoke to petition the reinstatement of the credit offering for Mariachi for fall 2023. I was scheduled to give my presentation today, however, I received notification for the June 30th board meeting. I look forward to giving my presentation and to discuss all the implications as well as the benefits of having the mariachi reinstated for credit. Thank you for your support and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to make any comments? Okay. 1.7, ma'am.
Item 1.7, presentations by individuals, groups, and organizations. Item 1.7.1, Dr. William Sarata, College President, will recognize individuals who have retired from El Paso Community College.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, El Paso Community College's Professor of Psychology, Antonio Juarez, announced his retirement effective May 30th, 2023. Professor Juarez, or Tony, to the thousands who know and adore him, started at El Paso Community College in 1987 as a part-time instructor. He's taught at the Trans Mountain, Valle Verde, and Rio Grande campuses. He's one of the most well-rounded, engaging instructors employed at EPCC. A graduate of Jefferson High School, enlisted in the Air Force upon graduation. After serving his country, he earned a bachelor's and master's degree from UTEP in clinical psychology and counseling. Later earned his PhD in philosophy of martial arts from the Eastern U.S. Academy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's been a practicing psychologist and counselor since opening his private practice over 25 years ago. Faculty and students will also say that he served as their unofficial therapist since he started his illustrious teaching career at El Paso Community College. His door was always open. He always offered a sympathetic and caring ear, sharing his wisdom and positive outlook with those seeking his brilliant advice. This is a bittersweet retirement, remarked Dean Brian Kirby. Of course, we wish Tony a long and wonderful retirement because he's earned that for the service he's provided to the college and our students, but it's his impact on our students that we'll miss most. Students fortunate enough to experience his classes report on how transformative those experiences were. Dr. Juarez, thank you for your 21 years of service to the college district. We wish you the very best in the next chapter of your life. There's Dr. Juarez. Next, we'll recognize Ms. Leticia Leti Valadez for her 36 years of dedicated service to El Paso Community College. Come on up. Ms. Valadez began her career at EPCC in 1988 as an academic assistant in the counseling department. She transitioned to admissions and served as a dual credit specialist in enrollment services for the last 15 years of her career. Ms. Valadez's work impacted the lives of many students as she was involved in processing their applications, assisting them with admissions, questions, and registering them for their first course. She also played a significant role in celebrating and recognizing students' achievements, helping in more than 70 commencement ceremonies. She was always passionate about her work and was an excellent team member. Ms. Valadez was also responsible for training and assisting many of her dual credit and early college high school department colleagues. Not only was Ms. Valadez a fantastic colleague, but she also worked to build strong relationships with our high school partners. Of particular note, Ms. Valadez was always focused on student success and provided students guidance with the transition from high school to college. Ms. Valadez was always willing to go the extra mile and stay the extra hours to get everything to benefit the students. Although this is a bittersweet moment, we're happy to share that Ms. Valadez's excitement as she reaches this milestone and begins a new chapter in her life. Her dedication and devotion to El Paso Community College and its students have been significant, and she deserves to enjoy this new phase in her life. In her retirement, Ms. Valadez will spend time with her family, including her daughter, grandson, and granddaughter. Everyone on the team will miss Ms. Valadez, but we're excited about her new journey. It has been an immense honor to have her on the El Paso Community College team. Congratulations.
Point 7.2, Pam.
Item 1.7.2, Mr. Daniel Guerra, Dean of Communication and Performing Arts at the Valle Verde campus, will recognize students from the forensics team that participated in the International Forensics Association Tournament.
Hi, good afternoon. I am going to let them do all the talking. They've done all the hard work and done all the traveling. So I'm going to start with Matthew. He's our coach here at the college, and he'll go through and introduce our students and our assistant coaches as well.
I'd like to thank Dr. Sadata, the cabinet, and members of the board. My name is Matthew Minnick. I am the forensics coach at EPCC. I'm also technically the speech and debate coach. People tend to think that forensics has something to do with medical science, but it actually comes from the Greek word forens, which is to persuade in an open forum, which is exactly what we do. We do different kinds of events. We have traveled all over the country this last year. Since the absence of COVID restrictions, we have been to Washington, D.C., we've been to San Francisco, we've been across the country, we've even been to Japan in March, which was a great experience for the students and for us for the International Forensics Association Tournament. We are also members of two forensics honors fraternities. One is Pi Kappa Delta, and the other is Phi Rho Pi, which has a national tournament every year specifically for junior college and community college students. I'd like to go ahead and introduce my assistant coaches. They're going to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about the team, and then the students will talk for themselves. So we're not going to take up enough of your time. It's going to be the students who are going to take up a lot of your time because they love to talk.
That's good.
Okay, my name is Erica Portillo. I teach speech at the Valle Verde campus, and my 30 seconds are to tell you that one of the events the students do they fall under interpretive events. So they perform poetry, prose, and dramatic interpretation where they take short stories, literature, plays, and they analyze it and they interpret it and they compete against other colleges and universities performing this interpretive piece. That's my piece.
Thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about what I do. I'm Rick Falvo, and I'm in charge of the debate program for the team. And we follow something called IPDA, which stands for the International Public Debate Association. And it's the most audience-friendly format because the students, when they prepare, they don't read word for word. They don't race to finish their ideas. And what they do is they meet other competitors and then they decide on a topic, and they're given essentially a half hour to prepare a series of cases to support their position. They have to be prepared to either vote in the affirmative or in the negative to oppose whatever the resolution is. So during those 30 minutes, they take their laptops and they look for articles and they prepare a case analysis as they go up against their opponents. And so they take turns establishing their case, and then they also have opportunities to ask questions of their opponent and then come up with refutations. So it's very much audience friendly. It's the most practical form of debate, and it's been a pleasure to help see these students evolve over this past year. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Harry Schulte. I'd like to talk about two events that the students do. They are impromptu speaking and extemporaneous speaking. I like these. The students don't necessarily like them, but it's one of the things that they learn to do. And I think the key characteristic which defines these two events is the ability to think on your feet. So they have to deal with issues about both, have to do with policy issues, both foreign and domestic. And for one event, they have half hour to prep, and the other one, they have 2 minutes to prep. So it requires a lot of organizational skills, and I think those are the kind of things that our students have become very good at doing.
Good afternoon. My name is Aisha Ramos, and I'm majoring in communications. First and foremost, the speech team has boosted my confidence when I step into stage now, prior to my stage fright that I used to have. And now I have learned how to express my thoughts and how to really enjoy this team. And when I step foot into that place now, I know to be excited and not to be scared anymore. And beyond personal growth, this speech team has given me a community like-minded individuals. We celebrate each other's accomplishments. We always encourage each other, and we push each other to our limits. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julie Reese. I am majoring in mathematics, and I focused on the interpretive of literature events in forensics. I joined the EPCC forensics team in the fall semester of 2021, and for that semester, I participated almost exclusively in asynchronous tournaments. This means that I would perform by myself in front of my coach's laptop camera. When COVID restrictions were lifted, we were able to travel to in-person tournaments. Not only did this allow me to experience places I had never been to before, but it allowed me to meet and make friends with many people. People who are our future lawyers, advocates, and politicians. The connections I made during these past 2 years are priceless, and for that I am forever grateful. I would like to thank the tournament hosts, my coaches, and EPCC for allowing me this opportunity to be on our team. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here. My name is Katia Vadillo, and my major is accounting and business. When I first knew about this team, I was nervous, but to be honest, I wanted to join the team because I wanted to improve my English and to become a better speaker. I'm an international student, and my English is not my first language. So for me, it was hard to talk in front of a lot of people. And this team helped me a lot, not just my coaches or the students that were in the team. And it was an honor to be in the team, and it helped me a lot to become a better speaker and to travel a lot and to meet a lot of people that were really nice and helped me a lot to become a better speaker and not to be ashamed about my accent and where I come from. And I really want to other people that are international students just like me to have this opportunity and become a better speaker as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victor Quintanilla. Prior to joining the forensics team, I was a business management major, but I did choose to switch to communications because I see the importance in it. I've had the opportunity to travel with the forensics teams and our amazing coaches and my peers. It's given me an amazing experience to network and further my communication skills and my business as a realtor. And you know, it's just amazing to see individuals grow, such as myself and my peers, and see what other communities in our state and our nation are doing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angel Ruiz. I'm a computer science major here at EPCC Valle Verde, and I'm here to talk about some of the benefits I personally received from being in this program. The first thing I'd like to mention is the emphasis on the connections that I've made. I've met several students and insightful coaches around this country, and many of which I'm still friends with and I communicate with. I've benefited not only in my skills in debate, but also in making connections and friends with a lot of people. Secondly, this has improved the clarity of my speech a lot. Day to day in your life, you're not really expected to make a 2-minute speech out of thin air, but this program has really changed the way that I view speeches. As some of the professors have already noted, we have limited preparation events where you have literal minutes to interpret a quote and come up with a speech. So instead of stringing ideas, extemporaneous speaking and impromptu speaking have really solidified my skills in being able to elaborate my points clearly. And lastly, it's made me a more insightful thinker. Usually I have intuitive speaking or intuitive thinking, which I just think on the fly, which is not exactly very cohesive. Now, thanks to debate and limited preparation events, I am more directed and pointed when it comes to my thoughts. And this has led not only to being a better debater and a better speaker, but it also leads to conflict resolution in my life. So forensics could be whatever you'd like it to be. Personally, I chose for limited preparation and to be on my feet. It's for that reason that I'm proud to say I'm actually considering changing my major to communications analysis because I truly enjoy speech.
I would also just like to mention, I'm sure the kids don't like to toot their own horns, but the students this school year have achieved over 50 individual awards, both as individuals and as a team. The students we have come from the Language Institute at the Valle Verde campus, where English was not their first language. My first semester teaching, all but one student had come from the Language Institute, and now those students have graduated from UTEP, Arizona State University, Canyon College, and the University of Georgia. One of our students got an acting scholarship to attend there. So forensics is good for your entire life. It is something that these students can keep with them and keep doing and keep learning. And we want to thank you again for this wonderful opportunity to let you know what we're doing and the things that we're doing for the students in this college. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Okay, Pam, 1.7.3.
Item 1.7.3, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
That's a great forensics team we have. Kind of hard to follow them. Oh, by the way, I was recently re-elected as Faculty Association President. Congratulations. So another 2 years. Unlike 6, you guys get 6 years? Oh, well. Members of the board, Mr. President, Vice Presidents, Deans, all guests. Seems we have what appears to be mostly good news regarding Senate Bill 16, 17, and 18 in the legislature. SB 16, which would make it illegal to force students to believe a particular way in any subject, not that the EPCC faculty does that. It appears to be dead, as it did not make it out of the State House of Representatives after passing the Senate. It's a perfect example of a bill seeking a solution to a perceived problem that simply does not exist. SB 17, which would eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion offices and the programs, passed the Senate, but the House version, which passed, is apparently quite different, as significant changes were made. It was sent back to the Senate, could still go to House-Senate conference. They would then have until this Friday night to reach a compromise, so this one is still up in the air. But for the faculty, the most important one is SB 18, which passed the Senate and seeks to eliminate tenure. The vote in the Senate was 18-12, with our own state senator, Cesar Blanco, joining the anti-tenure majority. Senator Blanco, if you're listening, you lost my vote. The version that passed the House retains tenure, but with more oversight. EPC's own Faculty Association Vice President, Elizabeth Acosta, appeared before the Committee on Higher Education in her capacity as president of the EPCC TFA chapter, advocating the keeping of tenure. My source tells me that the senator who sponsored SB 18 is not happy with the House version. Hopefully those differences will lead to the bill dying and thus saving tenure for at least 2 more years. Thank you.
Congratulations on your election. Anybody else? Student government?
Item 1.8, communications. Item 1.8.1, discussion and review of data, statistics, policies, and general information related to El Paso Community College by the Board of Trustees.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, Dr. Steve Smith will provide a presentation on our faculty data and research team. Dr. Smith, please.
Let's see if we can get the PowerPoint up. There we go. So over the past several months, many months actually, you've heard presentations about KPIs and strategic plans, financial strategy plans, ways we use data at the institution. This evening, I'm pleased to report on a way we use data that is not as widely known. We actually have at the institution a faculty group, a long-standing faculty group that looks at data on their own and decides what they want to look at and report on independently of whatever administration wants them to look at it as well. And so this body is called the Faculty Data Research Team, and I'm proud to share a little bit of information about that entity and some of the projects that they've worked on in the past and some future directions for them. So a little bit of background on the Faculty Data Research Team. Some of you, I won't point out any names, may have been on the board in 2005 when we established, we had a grant called the Developmental Education Initiative. That's an acronym, DEI, that has a very different connotation today than it did back then. But what this project focused on was how to eliminate the need for students to get bogged down in developmental ed, math, reading, and English courses. And that program was very successful, and as a result of that program, we went from having approximately 93% of our students requiring developmental education in mathematics to less than 40% of them. We eliminated one entire course in developmental ed and mathematics, going from 4 courses of Dev Ed to 3 courses of Dev Ed. That was so significant that the president at the time, Dr. Richard Rhodes, formed this group, Faculty Data Research Team, so that faculty could look at continuing research on ways to improve student success at the institution. As it says on the slide, this is a faculty-driven research agenda. So they pick the projects that they want to explore. They work with folks in IR and IT, and I'll mention some of those in a minute, to design their own research projects and present data and information on ways to improve the student experience at the college. In addition, we have developed a framework for research and publishing at the institution. So as I said at the last bullet, research projects are determined by the Faculty Data Research Team each cycle, and I'll talk about what those cycles are in a minute. So let me talk about some things that they've looked at in the past in addition to the DEI project that I mentioned earlier. One outcome of that DEI initiative was the creation of math emporiums throughout the institution. So one of the first projects that the Faculty Data Research Team did was to look at the effectiveness of the math emporiums. And in fact, the research showed that there was modest success for the math emporiums. And so the way we used the math emporiums was tweaked over the years as a result of the research that the faculty were doing, where they're now more effective. And as legislation has changed over the years, the math emporiums are now used as a part of a co-requisite model, which has generated additional success for students in math. And as we know, that's one of the major hurdles for students completing their programs at the institution is math. So that was one of the first projects that they did. Then we took a look at the student experiences that part-timers had versus full-timers, and how could we improve the experiences of those two groups. As you know, we have many more part-time students than we do full-time students. And we learned a lot about what those students experience and what supports they needed and the timing of those supports, which led to some of the things that we do today, including virtual services in the evenings and on the weekends for those students. Subsequent to that, we looked at some of the KPIs that had been created, and we put them in the context of what we call programs of study. So you may have heard of the AACC Pathways project that we've been working on for many years. A result of that Pathways project was we basically lumped programs of study together into 8, what we used to call meta majors, now we call programs of study. So every one of our 150-ish programs is related and falls under one of these 8 programs of study. And so we looked at the KPIs, key performance indicators, as outcome based on those areas of study, not just individual programs. The most recent project, which has also been the most lengthy project that the faculty data research team has looked at, is we are evaluating the diversity of student populations in our areas of studies and our programs. So those 8 areas of study, we're looking at the demographics and the success of students in there. And you might think, well, isn't that something we do all the time? We report on ethnicity and gender and socioeconomic status, et cetera. What this group wanted to do was take a deeper look and see if there were unintended outcomes of processes that we have at the institution that were adversely impacting certain groups of students. And that's a kind of a vague way of saying, were we unintentionally funneling students through programs that weren't right for them? For example, were we funneling women into lower paying occupations? That's a question that the research team wanted answers. And there's a number of demographics that we looked at. Was the same thing happening for males? Was the same thing happening for low socioeconomic students as well? So I'm going to show a couple of slides that have some pretty dense data in them. But before I do, here's the current membership roster of the faculty data research team. It's currently led by Edith Aguirre, one of our math instructors out at our Mission Del Paso campus. And what you see here is the name and then the area of study that they individually were tasked with reviewing in the current study. This study, by the way, has been ongoing since the start of the pandemic. We started this program or this research project at the beginning of the pandemic. Of course, we were sidetracked a little bit, got distracted. We have since picked it up, and we have some pretty valuable data that I'll share with you in a minute. Also, Dr. Rebecca Escamilla was on the committee. She was a biology faculty member, now one of our deans at our Valle Verde campus. Some counselors, I won't read all the names, but you see a wide range of disciplines, including career and technical education areas represented. We couldn't do it, of course, without our invaluable IT department and IR departments, and so you see representatives from those departments as well. And then the last person down there, Dr. Lucy Michael, may be familiar to some of you, a retired math instructor that we've brought back to work as a special research project assistant in my office. So she serves on that committee as well. So you heard about KPIs a number of times. The study wanted to focus on credit enrollment in these programs, and so it's KPI number 1. And we disaggregated this data by not only each individual program, but by the areas of study that I was talking about earlier. We looked at high wage and low wage careers, and then we linked them with EPCC programs at the institution. So I know you can't read this chart, but this is a representative chart of all the data that we gathered for each individual program. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see that we can slice and dice this data by term, by full-time, part-time, ethnicity, areas of study, et cetera. But what I'm going to show you in subsequent slides are subsets of these data. So for each one of these, we've got 8 data points that we look at. I won't bore you by showing you 8 data points for each of the project, but I'll show you a couple of the intriguing outcomes and a subset of each one of these data points to come. This one happens to be for a credit certificate program for a teacher assistant. So some of the low-wage careers, and this data was gathered by one of the databases that we subscribe to that matches up occupations with wages. And so some of the lower paying education or lower occupation wages from education, substitute teachers, that's too bad. That's something we should take a look at sometime as a nation. Cosmetologist, I was surprised to see legislators on the list. Nursing assistants, teaching assistants. So these are wages that pay less than $13 an hour. We see actors on there as well, along with the degree requirements. So some of them, as you can see, require a bachelor's degree, some of them a certificate of completion, some no degree at all. And then our linked academic programs at EPCC, and that was part of what took the bulk of the timing on this particular research project. We had to go through a pretty intense process to match up our own areas of study and programs with the occupations that they prepare. So substitute teachers can actually come out of any academic degree as long as they earn a bachelor's degree. They can be a substitute teacher as an example. So here's an example of one of the lower wage occupations and a subset of the data that we're looking at. So teaching assistants, one of the ones I showed earlier, approximately $12.59 an hour. What's intriguing is at EPCC, our current enrollment on that first of the 3 areas there, you can see that it's vastly part-time students that are majoring in that program. On the middle slide, or the middle of the slide, you see that it is almost entirely made up of female students for that particular program. And then the third slide, almost all are first-gen students. So that could raise some questions, right? A certificate program that's 1 year in length, largely part-time students, mostly female, and mostly first time in college, right? Let me just go on to a couple of more. Here's one that's a little bit different, although we see some of the same patterns. Cosmetology students, another 1 year certificate program, almost exclusively female. Also a good mix of first generation students as well. You'll also see the age groups that are in there, and you see that they're relatively younger students in that program as well. By the way, there are 195 pages of this data, but I'm not going to go through all of that tonight. These are just some subsets of data that we pulled out. We can certainly make the entire data set available to you if you're interested in doing that. Same thing, audiovisual installers, a little bit different in the context of this particular degree or certificate rather, is almost entirely made up of males. And so at first you think, well, wait a minute, we're not serving females. Well, here's one that's almost exclusively males that is a lower paying occupation as well. So then we took a look at the higher paying careers. Sales managers, which could be a lot of different things, is at the top of the list, but then some things that make a little more sense. Computer and information systems managers. I'm sure Mr. Fernandez is thrilled to see that on there as high-paying wages. Architecture, again, sales representatives, personal finance advisors, and I won't read the whole thing to you, but you see the associated wages, the degree requirements, and the linked programs as well at EPCC. So let's take a look at a few of those. The first one we pulled was cybersecurity, near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, on everybody's minds these days. The first thing I'll show you, which I didn't show you on previous slides, was the enrollment growth in that program right now. So that's in the left panel there. And you can see that since 2018, the enrollment growth has been incredible in that program. This is one that's predominantly male focused. And again, we have another panel that I wanted to show you. We also track military status on these as well. And so we have a large military population that wants to major in cybersecurity as well. Another example, in the computer area, $61 an hour, again, predominantly male, predominantly part-time as well. But what you'll notice is there are fewer part-time students in this than the overall average of the institution. So there are more, percentage-wise, there are more full-time students in this program than in the aggregate at the institution. Biological sciences, something that may be a little surprising to people. We see, again, traditionally a lot of part-time students in there, but mostly female that are majoring in biological sciences. I didn't have a slide put together on nursing, but as you can imagine, very high wage occupation, predominantly females as well in that program. Sales managers, you can see the data there, a lot of first-generation students, very evenly split gender-wise at the institution, and again, a good mix of part-timers in that. So we have all that data, and so what are we going to do with all that data? So it took us a year to vet the data that we were getting, make sure that we had matched up the programs and the areas of studies correctly. Now what are we going to do with that data? So we've begun the process this past faculty development cycle of sharing the data widely with faculty, coordinators, counselors, and now with the Board of Trustees. There aren't any answers here, but we raised the questions. So the next step is share the information out with the faculty and folks that are involved with the programs, and then start asking questions about that. So what are the next steps after we share the data? We're going to share the data, step one, then we're going to identify key findings. So is it a key finding that mostly females are in cosmetology, which is a relatively low-wage occupation? That's something for us to look at. So the way we'll analyze that is compare EPCC's enrollment and demographic data with state and national data to see if there's something there that we need to look and take a deeper dive in. And we'll do that every time that we see something that causes what I call an aha moment, a question comes up about that. So some of the IT jobs, we have a lot of males that are in high wage occupations. Is there something we need to consider doing there or not? And so we'll look at statewide and national data and make those determinations. And if we need to, we'll develop intervention strategies to correct any discrepancies that we might see. So step three, develop and implement strategies to address gaps in the identified findings. And then ultimately, we will at some point redo the study and see if there was any impact on that. So that's my presentation for this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can you speak a little bit more about addressing the gaps?
Yeah, so let's say that we do find that there's a finding there. We see something that maybe doesn't match state data, is an outlier. What do we do? Is it, are we inappropriately advising students into the program? Are we inadvertently, is there a financial aid issue that's causing students to select one program or another? Some of the programs like cosmetology, there are expensive kits and uniforms that have to be purchased, et cetera. So we'll begin to look at the process that we use for enrolling and advising students. We'll look at the curriculum itself to see if there's some issues that need to be addressed there, and develop those strategies, of course, collaboratively with the faculty and counselors in the programs.
How up to date are the advisors on, the trends that we have in the country, or even the offerings at the district?
Well, I think our advisors and counselors are quite up to date on what we offer at the institution. I can't speak to how up-to-date they are on national trends and that kind of thing. Really, that is something we look to faculty to track. And at some point, maybe we can present proposed new programs again. There's a lot of developments there. Dr. Serrato was talking, well, you heard Dr. Burnham talking about some of the House bills. Based on the funding bills, we'll be looking at other programs as well that we might be offering. There's professional development training for counselors every semester at the beginning of Faculty Development Week for any changes in the curriculum. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we stay innovative, that, that people don't get just stagnated. This is what we have, this is what we offer, take it or leave it, versus what else is out there, that they should be up to date with the information, either through professional development or seeking out ideas, proposing, so that there's innovation going on.
Thank you, we will.
Or even speaking to local businesses about how we can, what they need from us for us to build a workforce for them, right? So maybe there's something that we're lacking that, they need, and so the pay isn't what it could be if we would prepare them better.
Yeah, and you didn't see that on the data sharing slide, so I'll make a note. Certainly sharing some of our outcomes with business leaders is something we should be looking at. Every one of our career and tech education programs has a business advisory committee that they meet with to make sure that the curriculum and the outcomes are what they need for industry.
It's very good information, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any
Thank you all.
questions? Thank you, Dr. Smith. Okay. 1.9.
Item 1.9, Board of Trustee business. We'll go to item 1.9.2, discussion and action on the election of Chair of the Board of Trustees.
Nominate Judge Hegarty for chair.
Second.
Any other nominees? Any discussion? Nobody's throwing any tomatoes. Go ahead
Mr.
and
Chair,
call the question.
Oh,
I move that Judge Haggerty be elected by acclamation.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. Call the question there. Yeah. Acclamation, you know what? I'd like to see him also. No, I-
Congratulations.
And I do want to say, being the chair the last 3 years has been something different from the previous thousands of years that I've been here. I really want to commend what Dr. Serrato did during the pandemic, what you all did on the front row here to help him move light years. I mean, we went from chalkboard to Zoom, and it seemed like overnight. It was quite phenomenal to see, and I really want to make sure that you all get the kiddos or the accolades that you all deserve. And I really want to thank the staff and the administration, and of course you, Doctor, for all you did during it. And I really like to say, I really do have a lot of backup. This is the greatest board I've ever worked with since I've been here for thousands of years. So I'd like to thank you all, and I appreciate your support. 1.9.2.
Item 1.9.3, discussion and action on the election of Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Carmen Olivas Graham as Vice Chair.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question, man.
You need to ask if there's any other
I move
nominations.
that Dr. Graham be elected by acclamation.
There you go. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. 1.9.4.
No, I'm fine, sir. I just have to keep you on track. And remind you how long you've been
You do
here.
such a fine job. 1.9.4.
Item 1.9.4, discussion and action on the election of Secretary of the Board of Trustees.
I'd like to nominate Bonnie Soria Nájera for secretary.
Have a second?
You don't need a second for nominations.
All right. Have any discussion? No discussion, call a question.
I think you have to ask if there are any other nominations first.
Do we have any other nominations? Call a question?
Okay. Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Nájera.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. Congratulations to us all. Would you like to say anything?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm just sad that I'm too far to pinch you when you say something that's inappropriate.
No, I'm a loss of words. This is the first time I've heard the both of you don't have anything to say. Okay, at this time, we would like to go to executive session. Before we do the next item? Or do you want to? Let's go to
You can
executive
table it,
session.
we can go to executive session, or you can table it, Judge. It's your call.
Just table
Well, why don't we go ahead and table it, and then we can go ahead with the meeting and let these fine people go home if they want to go home, which I'm sure they do, but. Okay, we'll take, do I have a motion to table 1.9.5?
Items, Judge, items 1.9.5.6.7, you could take after executive session without a motion, Judge.
No, we don't have to have a motion. All right. 1.10, Pam.
Item 1.10, Board Reports. Item 1.10.1, Treasurer's Report, no action is required. Item 1.10.2, President's Report. Item 1.10.2.1, Dr. William Zarata, College President, will update the Board of Trustees and audience on recent events that have transpired at El Paso Community College.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, I'll begin by congratulating Andrea Hernandez, Trailblazers Early College High School alumni, for being the youngest in her cohort to receive a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree. Andrea was in the inaugural class at America's High School Trailblazers Early College High School in 2017. She received her associate's degree from EPCC in 2021, transferred into the UTEP nursing program, and at only 19, she is already hired at the Hospitals of Providence, where she will be a registered nurse and plans to specialize in progressive care when she passes the NCLEX State Board of Nursing exam. Congratulations on this outstanding achievement, Andrea. Would also like to congratulate Kimberly Dugdale, and Mia Navarrete, who will be traveling to Rotan, Honduras, to perform research with the Lewis Strokes Alliance for Minority Participation scuba diving program. The program allows students to perform research and then present their results during the conference. Once students participate in the program, they're eligible to apply the following year to do research internationally. Kimberly and Mia will have the opportunity to collect data while scuba diving above coral reefs to explore marine environments and research coral health, coral disease, water quality, and nutrient concentrations in the water, and the development of new sensors to make these measurements. Congratulations to our students for this great achievement. The National Center for Urban School Transformation honored Northwest Early College High School as one of its 2023 America's Best Schools based on the high performance among all student populations, despite challenges like low-income families and other socioeconomic determinations. The center awarded only 8 schools with the title of America's Best School this year. Northwest Early College is the only El Paso area school to receive the honor. Kudos to Principal Frank Clark, faculty, and staff on this great achievement. Congratulations to our fashion technology students competing at the Fashion Group International Scholarship Competition. Out of 200 competing designs, 120 designers from 2- and 4-year schools nationwide, EPCC placed in different categories. Student Sebastian Gonzalez won first place in Best of Sewing, and Kendra Brown and Yasmin Atkins received honorable mentions on evening wear, bridal, and sustainable fashion. Thank you for your great work and for representing El Paso Community College. The Trans Mountain campus held an open house for their Student Parent Resource Center this past April. The open house introduced the Excellence Center available for parents with incredible tools and resources to keep their education going while including their children. In addition to the open house, the Trans Mountain Family Friendly Center Committee, Lucia Rodriguez, Dr. Naomi Weissman, Manuel Herrera, and Elizabeth Marin had information tables for student parents to answer questions about the center. Earlier this month, the Mission del Paso campus also opened its doors to a Student Parent Resource Center. There's no need for parents to put their education on hold. Kids and parents are welcome to stop by. Thank you to everyone participating in the open house and grand openings. Around 50 students participated in the first annual Student versus Faculty Staff Volleyball Tournament at the Trans Mountain campus. The student engagement and retention event was successful. 30 students completed a survey indicating they enjoyed the match and wanted to see more events at Trans Mountain. Teacher preparation, Trans Mountain Library, Trans Mountain testing, TM counseling, TM kinesiology, and the TM Campus Life brought the student engagement and retention strategy to the Trans Mountain campus. Congratulations on the great turnout. The April 2023 Grand Gallery of Senior Art marked a new milestone for EPCC's senior art students and faculty. Through a collaboration with the International Museum of Art, senior adult program students showcased their work for the first time and held an award ceremony in the museum's South Gallery. Works included paintings, drawing, china paintings on porcelain, leather making, and artistic welding, representing the program's many courses. Artist Carmen Navarre Cannonhead served as a judge for the exhibition, and Rosa Guerrero was the ceremony's keynote speaker. As an artist, author, dance teacher, and role model, she deepened the appreciation for our community's culture and talents. Congratulations to Mauricio Chavez, whose artistic welding work, Strumming, won the Best in Show. Kudos to everyone involved in the event. During the spring 2023 semester, the respiratory care technology students and faculty collected 216 stuffed animals to donate to the local El Paso Children's Hospital. Children's hospitals have reached an all-time high with the rise of many viruses over the last few years. Extended hospital stays can make a child feel scared and uneasy. With these stuffed animal donations, the students and faculty hope to lift the spirits of the children at the El Paso Children's Hospital. Thank you to the respiratory care technology students and faculty for their efforts and time spent on this great cause. I'm happy to report that we concluded the first EMT National Registry testing for the San Elizario ISD students. 6 out of 7 students passed the exam in their first round. Congratulations to the ISD on this great accomplishment for the first cohort of dual credit students. On May 16, the MSP program was visited by Command Sergeant Major Jennifer Francis, U.S. Army MedCom. The purpose of her visit was to meet with the first cohort of soldiers attending the Accelerated Paramedic Program at El Paso Community College. This course is sponsored through a contract with the U.S. Army and is only 170 days, 48-hour work week, in a Monday through Saturday format. The program is the first nationwide to assist with the Army's shortage of nurses and paramedics. CSM Francis was interested in speaking to the soldiers to give them their charge and to review our EPCC paramedic curriculum. CSM Francis also completed a walking tour of the new facilities at the Rio Grande campus, including the EMSP classrooms, labs, and SIM facilities. I'm happy to report that she was very impressed by the college and the program. Congratulations to our paramedic students, and thank you to everyone involved in making this program possible. I saw Mr. Ayub in the audience. Well done. We held our spring commencement on Friday, May 12th at UTEP's Don Haskins Center. A total of 2,134 associate degrees and certificates were awarded during the 2 ceremonies. EPCC graduates become part of the skilled workforce or those who successfully transfer to 4-year institutions. I'm proud of the efforts and determinations of our students. Congratulations to the class of 2023. Since the last board meeting, I've participated in over 50 virtual and/or in-person meetings. These included 4 Texas Association of Community College meetings, which were a legislative committee meeting, a conversation with Commissioner Harrison Keller, a Business Advisory Council briefing, and a TAC officers meeting. I attended the Humanity Texas Spring 2023 board meeting, participated in the Leadership Academy Speed Leading event, participated in the Texas Student Success Council monthly meeting, attended our athletic banquet, the SGA and Student Organizational Council Awards banquets, as well as the Faculty Awards dinner. Many thanks to our board, Chair Haggerty, Dr. Graham, Ms. Sanchez, Mrs. Robles, for joining us. Taped a charter segment with Dr. Neil Matkin, the Collin Community College president, and Dr. Mary Hensley, the Blinn College president, on community colleges, which is now airing on the Spectrum channel. I chaired a community college finance advisory work group meeting, attended the grand opening for the Mission Del Paso Campus Friendly Center, participated in an MSI Aspiring Leaders webinar, attended our faculty senate meeting. Given that the administration ended the COVID pandemic as a national emergency status, and that's the federal administration, I'll no longer be providing a COVID update, but I'm happy to respond to any questions or concern that the board may have. Should circumstances change, we will bring that to the board for consideration. Chair Haggerty, that concludes my report. I'm happy to respond to any questions from the board.
I have only one question. Who won the volleyball team?
I don't know.
Students or
Was our
faculty?
students or our faculty or staff that won the Trans Mountain volleyball game?
I'll have to ask the TM campus dean who won the volleyball tournament. Students beat everybody else.
Any questions for the doctor? Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, 1.11.
Item 1.11, consent docket. This includes item 3.2.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Ms. Nájera,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 2.0, administration. No action is required on item 2.1. That is, 2.1 is DHC local TASB legal policy is presented for first reading and information only. Item 2.2, to delete existing El Paso County Community College District Board Policies number 3.32.10, 4.03.11, and 4.06.04 that are redundant and/or cannot be accommodated within the TASB policies.
Move to approve 2.2.
Second?
Any discussion? Call a question?
Wait, Judge.
Judge, there's one item we would request that item, or policy 3.32.10, just for the moment being, be withdrawn from consideration for it to be tabled, and we'll bring it back when the issue is right for consideration for the board.
What was the item number?
3.32.10. It's one of these policies that would be deleted, Judge. We need to table that.
Okay.
Only that one.
Do we need a motion and a,
Just a modification of the motion, Judge, for it to be approved with the exception of item 3.32.10.
Move to adjust my motion to remove that for further consideration.
Second?
call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Ms. Nájera,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 3, Personnel. Item 3.1, discussion and action to approve full-time staff and faculty recruited in positions funded by the institutional budget.
Move to approve 3.1 and 3.2.
Second.
Just for point of clarification, 3.2 is on the consent docket.
Oh, excuse me.
Already voted for that. So you just want to ask for 3.1, Mr. Uxer?
Yes.
Correct, 3.1 only.
You have a second?
Yes, second.
Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Item 3.3, information items, no action is required. Section 4, financial services, item 4.1, discussion and action on the approval of a 3-year contract with Transtelco Incorporated for district-wide internet services in an amount not to exceed $788,614 over a 3-year period.
Move to approve 4.1 and 4.2.
Second.
Read 4.2, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Item 4.2, discussion and action on the approval of a license agreement with JourneyEd.com Incorporated for Adobe Creative Cloud in an amount not to exceed $709,333 aggregate total for 6 years.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Item 4.3, discussion and action on the approval of a 2-year contract for bank depository services with Wells Fargo N.A.
Move to approve 4.3, 4.4, and 5.1.
Ma'am, can you read 4.4 and 5.1?
Second.
Item 4.4, discussion and action on an approval of an interlocal agreement with San Jacinto Community College District to cooperate on the purchase of commonly used goods and services. Item, did I miss 4.3? 5.1. Section 5, physical facilities, item 5.1, discussion and action on the approval to award a contract to Gage Electric Company for district-wide exterior lighting maintenance and repair in an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Any discussion on those 3 items? Call the question, ma'am.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Item section 6.0, curriculum and instruction. Item 6.1, discussion and action on the approval to purchase equipment from B&H Photo Video Pro Audio in an amount not to exceed $75,328.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion and action on the acceptance of a grant award from the National Science Foundation Advanced Technological Education Program in the amount of $349,990.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Smith, is there anyone to tell us what they had to do to get 350,000? Well, actually, 350 grand.
Yeah, so I can't tell you what they had to do other than work really, really hard, but I do have a few members here that I think it would be appropriate for us to acknowledge. So Dr. Pagel, if you could stand up. Dr. Servine, who ran point on the majority of writing this, Nadia Kadachev, and of course Bob Elliott in the grants office. Kudos to them. It's a huge grant and very important to the IT industry in the region. So.
And I think for the
Thank you.
record, we have information on the agenda, but for the record, it'd be nice to hear their point of view as to what they envision this to be.
We can certainly invite them up if you want to do that now.
Congratulations, sir.
Not to put you on the spot, but please come up. Dr. Christian Servine.
Board, Dr. Serrata, board of members, and of course, cabinet, thank you so much for this. We're happy to announce that we received the National Science Foundation Advanced Technology Education grant. It's one of the most prestigious ones, commissions that helps to improve education, that helps not only for the workforce, but also to create innovation in the curriculum for computing. This particular item is called Infusing Adversarial Thinking. It's one of the collateral ways to address cybersecurity in computing. So we already know, because of the report, there is a big emphasis right now for cybersecurity and computing in the region, nationally, globally. The aspect that we're trying to address here is through incorporated adversarial thinking. What is adversarial thinking? Basically, recognize how adversarials will think in terms of coding, programming, networking, and of course, cybersecurity. So the idea here is to bring partners, workforce partners, such as Bitwise, White Sands Missile Range, other colleagues here across the region, but also incorporate hackathons. And hackathons has this connotation for hackers, which we actually gonna do, but ethical hacking per se. So we're trying to incorporate the region through these competitions, independent school districts, community college, of course, and hopefully we can expand this across the region. Professional development will be included in this grant as well as one of the initiatives. And also the most attractive one is to incorporate one course called Computer Science for Non-CS Majors. It's in the inventory of the ACGM. And the whole idea here is to incorporate a general case for computing and adversarial thinking in cybersecurity for everyone. So we believe that there is an important emphasis in education, but also in the workforce. So we're very happy to receive this. National Science Foundations, they're well known to be highly competitive across the nation. And of course, we would like to thank the supports of the leadership of VP Smith, of course, Dr. Serrata, and Dr. Masha Pego, who will be being supporting since day zero, of course. Thank you very much.
Sir, how will there be, what kind of recruitment effort are you going to be, or can we expect that will be out there to get students interested?
Mm-hmm. We're very lucky to host the early college, but also the PTEX programs. So we want to focus in the PTEC piece here in order to do this transition. There's two pieces that will help us to do this item. The typical recruitment that we have with the teachers in the K-12, but also we hope that a couple of our colleagues here in the college, not specifically for computing, actually in all majors, to invite them to actually bring this student's perspective of computing. So we're counting also with faculty and of course administrators that can help us to disseminate this piece.
Good, congratulations. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Pena. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Wrong name. Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.3, discussion and action on the approval of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board Carl D. Perkins Basic Grant Mid-Year Reallocation Funding in the amount of $213,156.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Do we have anyone that can give a little bit of information on that as well?
Yeah, I think the Carl Perkins grant is something that we get every year, focused on CTE. This is just a mid-year allocation, so typically we'll get an extra little pot of money, but we can certainly invite the grants office forward to talk a little bit about that. But it's something that happens every year.
Thank you.
All right. Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.4, discussion and action on the acceptance of a contract with the U.S. Department of Defense, MedCom, in the amount of $114,544.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Mr. Smith, is this a contract for the paramedic?
It is, Judge.
So I think we have someone that can speak to it.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to invite Tony Ayub or Dr. Hajar up to share a little bit more about this incredible opportunity. There's only 6 sites in the nation that will be participating in this.
This is the first in the nation?
6.
One of
There's one of 6.
6.
And I have good information that they're looking for us to train additional health occupations areas as well.
Good.
Good afternoon or good evening, Chairman Haggerty, members of the board, Dr. Serrata. I'm Tony Ayub. I'm the program coordinator for the MSP program. We were contacted by Medcom in the fall. The EMSP program has a long history of doing paramedic training for the Army. Particularly, we've been doing it for Fort Bliss, but on a totally different format than what this is required. Medcom contacted us from Washington. They wanted to know who did the paramedic training at the college. Well, that's us. And so that's where the conversation started. They have a big need for paramedics within the military, particularly in the Army, in order to back up vacancies within nursing and physician assistant positions by using paramedics. And obviously speed is important. These soldiers are being TDY'd to El Paso. They're being housed by William Beaumont. At this point, we've got soldiers from all over the country in the first cohort. One soldier was tasked here from Germany. And so we're doing cohorts of 16 students because speed is important and TDY is part of their requirements. They can't be away from their duty station longer than 180 days. So we're completing the training in 170 days, which means we'll be doing training Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, not including clinical rotations, which may bleed into other hours. And we're doing all that at the new facilities at the Rio Grande campus on the 7th floor, utilizing our classrooms and the sim lab. This is the first cohort that was done mid-year. The next subsequent years, it's a 3-year agreement. We will be doing 2 cohorts a year, one starting in January, one starting in mid-May. There'll be a little bit of an overlap in the months of May and June so that we can complete every year before Christmas so soldiers can get back to their homes during that period of time. And so, important project. We've been told by the military they want to stand up several projects of these types of programs around the country. We are the first to go up. It was going to be us in Massachusetts, but we got ahead of the game, and we're the first to go up because the El Paso Community College has experience in this. Our administration, Dr. Smith's office, our dean, Dr. Hajar, and our faculty has done this numerous times. So we were first up. We've had 2 site visits from the military, and we're expecting the U.S. Army Surgeon General to do a visit on June 7th to the program. Something new for us, something I think will be good, and so we'll add more paramedics to the military community.
Well done.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to be doing this 6 days a week at the 7th floor, is there any problem in scheduling the equipment in the classrooms? I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't be doing this and overlapping, but we're not. But our basic mission of teaching nursing courses and medical courses for the college, they're coordinated so that we don't have any problems scheduling the equipment or classrooms.
No, Mr. Uxer, there won't be an overlap. The MSP program does have its dedicated equipment, which is very similar to nursing equipment, but it's specialized because the skill set is a little bit different. So within the 7th floor, we have our own ambulance simulator, our own task trainers, and our own advanced high-fidelity mannequins. We will be sharing the sim lab, but that's a function of scheduling. And when El Paso Community College built that sim lab, the intent it would be multidisciplinary. And we went into this with the intent that we would all be able to share that facility. So we'll be able to do that. The other area that has really grown is all these students must do hands-on and do clinical rotations. So we're currently using, on the ambulance side, El Paso Fire, Elite Ambulance, Life Ambulance, Dominion. On the hospital side, we're using UMC, El Paso Children's, and all of the HCA facilities on both of those, including their standalone emergency rooms. But because of this agreement, we're back using William Beaumont for clinical rotations, and we've requested their ambulances to assist with this project, which we will be working on to do that also. So we have expanded our capacity because the problem here is not training paramedics. We've done that for a long time, and my faculty does that very effectively. I work at a great place with great faculty and staff. The problem is the speed in order for us to be able to do it in 6 days. And obviously, my concern is that we be able to do it effectively, good results, and definitely not burn out my faculty and staff. We need to make sure that we keep a rotation in place.
Okay, and so if you're scheduling 6 days a week and we're providing the instructors, we have the ability to make sure that our instructors don't get burned out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're making every effort in that regard. I've talked to the lead instructors that we have several instructors assigned to this project, but I've talked to them that faculty, as we go down the years, will be rotated in and out. They all enjoy the project because of the excitement of the speed and the students and so forth, but you can get fatigue, faculty fatigue from the constant push, not only in the classroom but in the clinical environment. They've all agreed it'll be Dr. Hajar's and my function, and certainly Dr. Smith's, for us to rotate faculty through those areas so that they don't get fatigued.
And one question for Dr. Smith. I presume that sort of this eventually comes into your area, so you don't have any problem scheduling. I mean, is there overtime involved? Now we're looking at money. Do you have to have extra money for the money to cover all the salaries and everything?
We are currently fine in the staffing, but interestingly enough, Dr. Hajar and Tony and I were talking about that earlier today. If we find ourselves in a situation where we need to bring on additional faculty to help with some of these, we can certainly do that.
I was wondering if there was overtime, or if the Congress doesn't approve the budget, do you?
Faculty fall into an exempt status. They do have the ability to do overloads to help compensate
But they get
for some of the
compensated
increase.
for that?
Yes, sir.
That's not like.
Anything above their base load, they get
Okay,
compensated for.
that's none as other duties as required, huh?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Okay, so, and your people, you're gonna take care of them?
Yes, sir. We
And
will.
at the end of each cohort, you're gonna have a big banquet for everybody?
We intend to, and there will also be, because of the nature of this type of project, there will be a closing ceremony, a form of a graduation, if you will, where we are expecting dignitaries from the military. So we'll celebrate their achievements, certainly the achievements of the faculty and the institution in us being able to turn these projects over. We are being looked at as the lead agency to do this. Like I said, they're hoping to stand up programs on the West Coast, East Coast, and some others in the central part of the country. So we're very proud of our faculty and our institution to be able to do this.
And one last thing, in the military, awards, decorations, and medals are extremely important, and sometimes they get overlooked. Contact somebody to make sure that you can get the appropriate award, documentation, and/or medal or ribbon for those in whatever the category is. Don't overlook, because that's very important for their advancement.
We will, Dr. Uxer. The other thing that's an advantage in our program, we're also the first program to make this a college credit program. So our students will graduate with a certificate of completion, about 41 college credit hours. Several of the soldiers that are in the cohort already, some already have bachelor's degrees, will actually meet the qualifications on the academic side to transfer in, and we will have some that will graduate with associate's degrees in 170 days.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Smith, is there anything in the contract that says that if you need more money from the Army, you can get it?
I have not looked at the contract in that detail, but we certainly can
I think if the Army
renegotiate.
wants these paramedics, they'll pony up a few bucks. So.
Just as an observation, if you have a contract with the Army, read it closely.
We have people that have read the contract. I suspect we're locked into the fee that we're paying at the cohort level that we're serving at this point.
We're just lucky they was selected at EPCC.
Well, they were wise to select EPCC, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Ayub.
Thank you for
Appreciate
everything
the
you do,
information.
Mr. Ayub.
Other question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.5, discussion and action on the approval of an interagency cooperation contract with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board for participation in a statewide course sharing pilot program.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Smith, what does this mean, sharing?
So some of you may remember the Virtual College of Texas. When online classes were first being developed, it became evident that colleges in one region of the state did not have the same set of courses that colleges in another region of the state had. So as they stood up these online classes, they were able to enroll students at other institutions in order to get those kinds of credits. This is the same kind of agreement that the coordinating board is implementing in a more formal way.
It amazes me that we can teach a class on the internet, but we can't have a board member on the internet voting at a board meeting. Fascinating. Any other questions? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.6, discussion and action on the approval of the Socorro ISD PTEX interlocal agreement.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Is this for the whole district?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Very minor changes from the last time. I'm sorry?
How many pretexts are there in Socorro?
I would ask Dean Badillo to come up and share a little bit about the number of PTECs that we have in Socorro at this point. There's a lot.
So they're right here. And they're on the agenda.
Good evening. So I will give you a more detailed explanation of all of our early colleges and PTECs in July. Stay tuned. So that's when I give my annual presentation. But we will have a PTEC at every high school at the Socorro Independent School District by 2024. So we have 2 more that are going to come on board for 2024. So this is the 2023 group. So we're almost there to have an early college and a PTEC at every high school in the Socorro District.
In every district?
Not quite, not quite.
Just in the innovative one.
Yes.
Not that you have any inside information.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gosh, it's on the agenda. It's not my inside information.
Any other questions? Other questions?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Abstain. I work with the district.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 7, Student Services. Item 7.1, discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for new courses.
Move to approve 7.1 and 7.2.
Second.
Read 7.2, please, ma'am.
Item 7.2, discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for revised courses.
Any discussion on these 2 items? Call a question, ma'am.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 8, Community Services, there are none. Would the board like to recess into executive session?
Please.
The Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons: consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice, or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation, or for any purpose authorized by law; discussion about the value or transfer of real property; discussion about a prospective gift or donation; consideration of specific personnel matters; discussion about security, personnel, or devices; or discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Item 1.3.1, discussion with legal counsel regarding a charitable grant to the college from the National Philanthropic Trust pursuant to Section 551.073 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.2, discussion with legal counsel regarding exchange of real property located immediately adjacent to the Mission Del Paso campus between the college and County of El Paso pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.3, discussion with legal counsel regarding proposed state legislation related to policies, procedures, programs, and initiatives of the college and related matters pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.4, discussion with legal counsel regarding a ground lease agreement and transmission distribution easement agreement between the college and El Paso Electric Company pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. And the time is 6:07. The board will now go into executive session.
All right, the board is now back in session or in regular session out of executive session. There are a few items that we have to go over. Item 1.3.1, go ahead and read it.
Actually, I think we have to go to the corresponding Board of Business item.
Whichever, what number it is, I don't know.
It should be 1.9.5. It's the first
Okay.
one.
Go ahead and read that one.
Item 1.9.5, discussion and action to adopt a resolution by the Board of Trustees to create endowment funds regarding the charitable grant to the college from the National Philanthropic Trust and authorize the college president or his designee to take any other related action.
There's going to be no action taken on that, Pam. Read
Okay.
1.9.6. 6, yeah.
Item 1.9.6, discussion and take possible action regarding proposed state legislation related to policies, procedures, programs, and initiatives of the college and related matters.
No action will be taken. Read 1.9.7.
Item 1.9.7, discussion and action to approve the ground lease agreement and transmission-distribution easement agreement between the college and El Paso Electric Company.
There will be no action taken on that item. What's the other one? That's it? Okay. So now we're going to discuss our next board meeting. Our next board meeting will be on June the 30th. We are also scheduling a budget workshop to begin at 2 p.m. on that date. Is there anything else for the good of the cause? Having none, do I have a motion for adjournment? Okay. All in favor of adjournment, say yay.
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 Everybody
Okay.
Brian, you don't need a motion to adjourn.
You don't?
You just said there's being no further action, I declare this meeting adjourned.
All right, well, we're adjourned.